Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. It just all depends. There's so many moving variables when it comes to each property, right? The data that's available to you is tremendously so much, so you can easily get lost in not taking action, which is the action I'm talking about is under here, under contact, skip tracing, and creating campaigns. It's very easy to just get lost in analysis or paralysis by analysis, right? So you just want to create your own little criteria and follow through, right? At this point, 19 properties. How much is it going to cost me to send a letter to or a postcard to 19 properties? All right. How much is it going to cost me, right? So you could literally select all of this and you can add them to a list. You can see this button right here, and you can manage all of those lists from the left hand side by creating campaign around them. Okay. All right, so let me just go ahead and do this. Let's just do this as practice. I was gonna see if I can narrow down on this list with some other criteria, but I like to personally deal with 100 properties, right? So that means my criteria is too tight. So I may even go back and say, you know what, I may go back into the criteria under MLS. I'll go here and say days on the market. I'll go back, and if I, let's see, field. All right, so instead of touching the criteria, I may just save this particular criteria, right? I'll go here, I'll do save search, right? I can save search and I'll say field listing. If I click on save search, I'll call it a name. I can include on home screen, which means it will replace any one of these boxes. And I can come every day and run the search every day, because remember, any status, the status of a listing can change on a daily basis, right? And you just never know. It's something you want to check out on a daily basis. You never know when the property can really fall on your radar, and you make a quick contact, and you make some money from that. All right, so now what I've done is stage one, data, right? And we manipulated the data, but now it's time to do stage two, right? Let me see if I can show you what that looked like really quickly. If you look at this, that is stage two, contact, right? So let's go back, and I'm going to click add to list. I'm going to say create new in this case, and Henderson, right? I call it the name. You can create any naming convention for yourself, and just make sure you use that naming convention rule all the time. That way you can track your data over time, right? And I'm doing this, and I'm going to call it field listing. We know that it's non-owner occupied. We know like all those other things, but I just call it field listing, right? I'll click save, right? I click close. Now we can go under contacts here, my properties, under my properties, right? And under my properties, we can have our marketing list. If you scroll down, you can see that we're always working here, right? This is the field listing that I just created. That's the 19 properties right there. Okay, what do I need to do now? I can basically do what you call a skip trace, right? A skip trace is essentially looking for the contact information of the property, right? So there's a tab right here. Okay, the skip tracing is part of the contact stage. You're creating a contact, right? And then we'll go here under, see, 10 cent skip tracing. They give you a phone number, they give you an email, and then you select the contact list for basically the list you created. So I'll scroll through here. The list I created was what? Field, boom, right there. Okay, field listings. And I'll just go through this process. I can click, just click done, right? Right, so you follow through this process. I'm going to leave this alone because I don't want my contact and my credit card information showing and stuff like that. You follow through that contract. After you've done that, you go under contacts, and then you'll be able to see all the contacts of all the data. You see all these phone numbers, like this, it will show up like a list like this, and it will give you multiple phone numbers for each contact with the property address. Okay, now on top of that, you can go on the campaign, and you can send postcards to those people from here. They have tutorials upon tutorials. I will continue to show you stuff here, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what's possible. But they have tutorials that you can access. If I go back to, let's go back to search here. Let's see. Let's go down to under chat support here. I think You can chat with them. The customer service is on point. Okay, they have an academy that you can attend for free. They'll teach you how to use the whole software, right? And then when I send those postcards out, basically when people reach out back to me, either by calling my phone number or by sending an email or filling out a form online, that is essentially what we'll call the lead. Okay, that's what we'll call the lead. If you remember this, that will be stage 3. Okay, and after you have a conversation on the phone, let's talk about what this conversation look like. Okay, so a type of list that you can absolutely a type of list that you can absolutely go after here is something we call the pre-foreclosure. So I could go under here and say, you know what, field listing, I want this to be everybody, right? I'll just take this out, right? Close that out. I have 662 now, right? So, but I can go back to the same filter and I can go back under pre-foreclosure and say I want all properties that has notice of default, right? When you do that, I usually like to also go under the lien bankruptcy and tell it to suppress. Here, there's a suppress list here. I want it to suppress anything that has active bankruptcy. Okay, let's see, active bankruptcy. I want it to suppress. When I did that, it brought me only one piece of property. So we're gonna call this the property of the day. Okay, we know that this property is a couple of things that we should know about this property, right? This is the property of the day right here. All right, so let's see. We know, let's see what we know. All right, we know that this property is owned by an LLC. Okay, which is kind of negative, but not necessarily. Okay, I've closed deals that were owned by LLCs multiple times into the past. Sometimes people eat more than they can chew. Because they have an LLC doesn't mean they are sophisticated as it looks. They may just be brand new in the business, and they may need your help effectively, right? So there was a cash sale. We know that they purchased this property for cash not too long ago, $290. So that could mean multiple different things. It could mean wrong, right? We know that the value of this property is $270,000. They paid $290 for it, so they're underwater. Okay, that's what we call underwater. That's what we call negative equity. They owe way too much. No, well, not owe. They spent too much than the property is worth in a short-term period. Can this property be worth more later on? Yes. Okay, so they may know what they're doing, but they may not know what they're doing as well. Okay, but we will never find out unless we reach out, right? We also know that there is some kind of pre-foreclosure information. Let's go here. But this pre-foreclosure may be old information, right? All right, so there's a notice of default by a lender called PHH for 326. All right, and it's on this property. Is it paid off? We don't know. There's a lot of discrepancies here, and we don't know until we reach out to the present owner of the property. Okay, so while the software is really good to see and overlook a bigger picture, a snap